Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue number 37 of good old Combat Patrol magazine, and it is part 1 of 2 for our Chaos Space Marine Hellbrute. So, this issue we are going to get the first 2 sprues, which, you can do a lot of looking at them, but you can't really do a lot of building because we do need that final sprue to actually get all the pieces together, because otherwise you may miss bits out. But otherwise, pretty cool stuff. Next week, obviously, we will have the final sprue to it, and we will have the base, so enough to get us going. But otherwise, you can pick out your parts. So if you want different weapons, you can go different weapons. It's entirely up to you. If you need different instructions for the different weapons and such like that, you can generally find them online anyway. So if you Google Chaos Space Marine Hellbrute instructions, for instance, you'll generally find them. And yeah, there are a couple of websites that have them, so you can have the full PDF instructions, because we don't get actually all the instructions in the magazine. So, going through the magazine, you'll notice there are a couple of parts that are swappable, so you can have different head if you want a different head. Then there's the kind of the growths around where the head kind of situates in the body of the unit itself. You can change these to different ones if you want to, or you can follow the magazine. There are different weapons though. Now, you only get the option for one weapons if you're following the guide. So the plasma cannon and the hammer, you can go different routes. So there is a cannon, and there is like a whip like tendrils, and there's a big fist and all that type of stuff. It's up to you. If you do need the instructions for building those bits up, although they should be fairly straightforward, you can find them online. Dead easy. But otherwise, it's a pretty cool kit. Painting it up will be a bit of fun and a bit different and a bit quirky. And again, it's a Chaos unit. Spray paint it black. Makes life so much easier. It's just them fleshy areas that can be a bit of a pain in the backside then. But it's up to you. How you want to go about painting it, your choice. Moving on. We've got a read section for the Chaos Space Marine, so the Path to Glory. The warriors of Chaos may fight together as one army, but each individual also undertakes their own personal journey. This is called a Path to Glory, and on this path, they seek to gain the recognition and favour of the dark powers of Chaos. The servants of Chaos are motivated by selfish ambition, and each one of them walks their own path, led by their greed and hubris. As they attract the dubious attentions of the Chaos powers, the lucky among them are blessed with gifts, granting them boons and powers beyond their wildest imagination. They then use these in service of the gods to sustain their dark patrons' favour and benefactions. These gifts can range from potent psychic powers to enhanced strength to transmuted flesh. So, you get a little bit of an idea of how the Chaos Space Marines operate here and what they're kind of all about. So they do use this Path to Glory. Some of them are very, very, very mutated, and essentially the idea is so they can kind of work their way up to be demonhood or demi-demonhood. So even the Primarchs who fell to Chaos walked the Path to Glory. Some ascended to become demon Primarchs, such as Magnus the Red of the Thousand Suns, who is favoured of the Chaos god Tzeentch. So, and as you can see, Magnus the Red, definitely not looking like a Space Marine, is he? So, pretty cool stuff, and a pretty interesting character as well at the same time. You will also find as well that the Chaos Demon Prince can be also a great Chaos Lord, and after winning enough victories, he was rewarded with Ascension and now fights with even more zeal. The Hellbrute was forced screaming into the confines of a Hellbrute, where he will remain for what is left of him until he dives, neither able to ascend nor fall into damnation. You've got the good old Chaos Spawn, you've got Dark Cultists that are mutated, you've got the Cultists themselves, Legionaries, and even the good old Possessed as well. So, there are different ways to ascend and different things, and not every ascension is equal or favourable. So you can go down different routes if you're a follower of chaos. If you're not and you want to purge the heretics, good for you. Anywho, we get more of our good old read section. So the Dark Descent Part 2. So this is all to do with our Eldari who have attacked the Black Legion. So it's all going through there. So this is part 2. So obviously we have a couple of strands of different fiction going on here, there, and everywhere. And so yeah, it's good reading. It's going to be a little bit like some of the other magazines where we're going to have parts here, there, and everywhere. So getting it all together is more coherent, in all honesty. Then we're going to move on. We have our collect page for the Hellbrute, so obviously this is where you get to give it its unit name. You get to tick off whether you built it, paint it, and played with it. And yeah, you get to roll for naming it if you really, really want to. Or you can just call it a Hellbrute and be on with it. Your choice. At the end of the day, it is a pretty cool unit, so maybe you might want to name it, but you just do not have to. It's a little bit of a quirk that the magazine likes you to do, so you get a bit more familiar with it and you get a bit more attuned with it, and it's a bit more personalised then. But it is always your choice to do so, if you want to do so, but you don't have to. Anywho, on the other page, you do get the data sheet, of course, for it, so we already have the data card, if I remember rightly. So he has a 6-inch move. He's pretty tough. He has a good range on that plasma cannon. If you're going to be using different weapons, you are going to need the other version of the data sheets that will have the other weapons, so like the cannon and stuff like that. So you may need to get those online as well, which is a bit more of a pain in the backside because you can't even use the Warhammer 40k app for it because it's all hidden behind paywalls, because you need codexes. Bit of a pain in the backside, but yeah, there are ways and means, and you can find out. So there are plenty of Reddit forums, I imagine, that have a lot of those bits and pieces on there. But yeah, it's doable, no matter what. Anyway, moving on from there, we get more rules. So more of our core rules. So giving us the continuation of our core rules book, essentially, that we get with this magazine. We get all to do with the deployment abilities, so whether it's deep strike, infiltrators, leader, and scouts, and such like that. Every unit has a different kind of ability, so depending on where they are. So whether they're a vehicle, a walker, or anything like that. So you have got to look out for things like the keywords and such like that. So some of them may have deep strike, where they can kind of be deployed further out into the field and past your generic line of good old deployment. Same with scouts, can be deployed in different areas as well, and they can remain hidden and such like that, but they can be ranged far ahead. Your leaders, obviously you need to have a good place for your leader because they are a character unit and they're a focal point for armies and such like that, and even things like your infiltrators and such like that. So it's definitely worth having a look out for these keywords because it will help you when you're deploying for battles. That's the main thing with this bit. So gives you a good idea of how to go about doing it. So on the other page though, we do have more rules to come. So there will be more and more and more and more. So whether it's for stratagems and how to utilise them, which will be coming in issues 41 to 42. Strategic reserves, because you are going to want to use reserves every now and then, especially when you're playing bigger battles and not just combat patrols. If you want to expand to big full 2,000 point armies, for instance, you are going to need strategic reserves. Your terrain features can play a big important part. So for instance, if you have a building that has multiple levels, they're really good for things like snipers and such like that, and your ranged units, putting a melee unit up there, not very a good idea. But having them terrain features can also be a burden as well as a benefit. So for instance, if you roll poorly, you may not be able to get out of the building. If you roll very well, you may do, and such like that. So those type of things can happen with it. And aircraft. Aircraft is also pretty damn cool. Now, there are some really good bits of aircraft within the 40k universe, whether it's things like the gunships from the good old Space Marines, the good old void ships and such like that. I can't even remember what half of them are called. That the Eldari have, the scrapper jets for the Oryx. In all honesty, Leagues of Votan don't have anything that's flying, well, that's an actual aircraft itself. And there are a few others as well. So pretty cool stuff. And it's definitely worth having a bit of a nosy at, because that'll be good fun to add into battles and build up your army in a different way. If you want aerial support, that is. You may not want to. It's your choice. But aerial support can be really, really good fun. Moving on from there, we're going to get a little bit more information about the Space Marine Combat Patrol rules. So they do have enhancements, so every Combat Patrol leader has their own specialisms and abilities, gained at either through hard-won experience or from the training they have undergone as an elite warrior. Then there are secondary objectives, because you can have secondary objectives, which is always really, really good fun, and stratagems themselves, which are the ploys and tactics that are available to commanders on the battlefield. In the desperate warfare of the 41st millennium, every advantage must be taken. So that's always a little bit of good stuff to kind of look into and have a bit of fun with as well later on. You get a little bit more information on the backside about it. So the enhancements themselves. So for instance, a champion, so like the captain in Terminator armor, maybe a champion duelist, for instance. And there may be Oathsworn and such like that as well. Certain units within next to certain units can be benefiting from each other and enhance how they play. Secondary objectives, you could have, for instance, slaughter a secondary objective to do as much damage to the enemy as possible, or bring down a big monster, for instance. Or you could just have one where it's just you've got to do certain little bits and pieces. But you can have a little bit of fun with that, which is always really, really good fun. Then your stratagems. So your stratagems you generally get as cards. They do cost command point, and you can play them, and they can help benefit you by boosting your good old points at the end of it, and to go towards building up your end game. So you can have a bit of fun with that. We also get the same for the Tyrannids. So their enhancements, secondary objectives and stratagems. Now, obviously, there are some, good fun bits with the good old Tyrannid. So they have things like psychostatic veil, and secretion, so they can be a bit more kind of armor penetration with their weapons and such like that. You can have, for instance, their secondary objectives where they might want to, I don't know, progress to somewhere else or kill as many things as possible, or that type of stuff. So you can have a bit more fun with it. And then your stratagems as well. So all really, really good stuff, and really, really quite cool and quirky, and some really, really, really good bits. Moving on from there, we get a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming between issues 41 to 61. So the next 20, essentially, because we're getting up towards the end of the current 30 issue, the first 30 issues. So we've got Eldari still to come, we've got one more Chaos, and then we go into good old Orcs, which is really cool because you get some really cool units. So you've got the Boomdacker Snazwagon, best name for a vehicle ever. You've got the Deathcopters, which are really, really good fun. And then we've got the Leagues of Votan, which we get some really, really cool ones there. So we've got the Carl, we have Chthonian Berserkers, we have good old regular warriors, we have Einir Hearthguard, and such like that. So we have some really, really cool bits. We also get new battle mats as well in issues 41 and 61. So new kind of a new look to terrain, which is quite good and really good fun. We'll also get obviously new cards and such like that as well to go with it all. So should be really, really good fun, and some really, really good minis to look forward to. Personally, really looking forward to that Boomdacker Snazwagon and the Deathcopters, and pretty much all the Leagues of Votan, because I do like the Leagues of Votan. I have the army box when that came out. Still not done all of it, but I have got that army box. So pretty cool. They just don't have a lot many more units. They do have really, really cool ones though, like the Hecaton Land Fortress and the Sagittor are pretty cool vehicles that you can get for the Leagues of Votan. Personally, I want them to release more, but we'll see what the future holds in terms of the Leagues of Votan. So, should be good fun. Moving on. Next week, obviously part 2 of our Hellbrute. We get information about stratagems and Warzone Nephilim as well. And obviously our paint guide for the Hellbrute. So, should be good fun. Issue 39 is our 5 Wraith Guard, so back to the Eldari. So we get Wraith Guard, who are pretty cool. I do quite like them. And they do have an alternate build and a Blade Guard, which are pretty cool, which obviously just have blades instead of having the guns, which, I don't know, I like both. I'm not going to lie. I do really like both. And then issue 40 will be our final Chaos unit for the regular Chaos Space Marines. However, obviously, we are going to get more Chaos later on, towards the very back end of the magazine run. So I think between issues 80 and 90 is the final bits of Chaos, which is the World Eaters, I want to say. I may have remembered that wrongly and given you the wrong name. Anyway, really good stuff. A lot of good stuff to look forward to. And yeah, should be good fun. As soon as I've actually painted up some units, because I haven't been really painting much at the moment, I will post them online. So keep an eye out. Should be good fun. Anywho, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I will see you in the near future. Goodbye then.